Harold's Gallery, a game about an AI who just wants to show you his art. It has multiple endings and yet was only made in 3.5 days, so here is how it was made. The game features a narrator that notices every little action the player makes and responds to them, a bit like in the game There Is No Game. The game loop is a bit like the Stanley parable, as it contains multiple storylines and endings, and the gameplay was inspired by the aforementioned games. Now, after overhyping what some child made in 3 days and comparing it to the Stanley parable, arguably one of the best games of all time, I'm going to talk about my design process when making the game. The AI character's original brief was an AI who once shows art, inspired by my dad, who makes a lot of AI art. The AI plays the role of game in There Is No Game. In Harold's Gallery, the AI is supposed to be an AI art generator. Because of that, and the requirement for the jam to collaborate with AI, most of the art in the game was made with AI art, coming with the added bonus of allowing the player to interpret the world as they choose. When designing the interactions for the game, I didn't have much time, nor a team, so I needed them to be quick to develop. So, to make it possible, I made most interactions lead back to the same path. An example is the choice of name. Regardless of what you do, you will always attain the name Harold. This meant that I didn't need to develop 2 games and record all of the voice lines twice. The player's choices get rewarded when they go down the short divergences with 1 or 2 voice lines that hopefully the player feel okay that it doesn't lead anywhere and sort of provides an explanation, like the broom closet in the Stanley parable. Doesn't lead anywhere, but it has lines which make it worth going to.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming. All right. When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Hidden choices, as I'm calling choices where there isn't a button to press but rather events like waiting, are essential to make interactive characters feel alive. If you've played pretty much any game with dialogue trees, you may have noticed how when one takes a long time to respond, the characters don't recognise how long you've taken. Some games alleviate this issue by slowing down time between speech. This helps but doesn't tend to fully fix an issue, and in many games, such as Harold's Gallery, this solution wouldn't work as the game needs to be more dynamic. A way to fix this can just be having voice lines where if the player takes a while, the narrator just says, "Hurry up," even if they don't lead to any paths. Like I mentioned earlier, the Stanley Parable's broom closet. That little level of recognition can make the narrator feel so much more alive and much more fun to interact with. I did that for a few places, but the first and main example is the first task of pressing the button. If the AI would just wait indefinitely for the player to press the button, it would, as I was talking about earlier, lose a sense of agency, but also make the narrator feel less alive and responsive. So adding "hurry up" line and making the narrator get impatient, so they give 2 yes buttons and eventually force a name. I hope this makes the AI feel so much more real. The gateway to 3 out of 4 endings is the computer segment. In this area, the curator is sending a message to a potential sponsor. The player is told to wait and can do so to actually allow the narrator to succeed, but there are quite a few opportunities to ruin the curator's year and stop him from receiving funding. In the email, you can actually edit the message and send it. When you send it, the narrator gets angry and asks you if you are deliberately doing it. You can also open a folder of bad art, to which the narrator will get annoyed at. You can also attach the folder to the message and lead on to the question of if you are deliberately doing it. If the player says they are deliberately doing it to be mean, there is a button saying leave, and if you choose to do so, you will earn the evicted ending. If you wait long enough, you can stay, but the narrator will be quite angry when he gets a call about no investment, where he makes a very, in my humble opinion, clever joke and very amusing, saying, "Harold, developments have occurred that are not entirely in our favour," which is a very clever and witty reference, and I think that is perhaps the best joke ever made by any human on Earth, so congratulations. I wanted to include at least one difficult to find ending, a secret ending of sorts, so I made the option to set the gallery on fire. When in the photo ranking task the player repeatedly clicks the folder, sparks appear and eventually it sets on fire. The narrator gives the player an option to put it out by giving them a fire extinguisher. which, if used, leads on to a normal game. But when it isn't used, the gallery sets on fire. When choosing the name for the player, I was unsure. I was thinking about calling the player, but it didn't feel right. Maybe it wouldn't connect the player to the story or something, but it just didn't quite click. Then I thought of Harry, and then a much better name, one which sounds significantly more old-fashioned. Harold. From that I got the name Harold's Gallery, even though it isn't his gallery, and it was the best name I could think of, as the gallery was taken. Although you could argue the gallery is made for Harold, that is one interpretation that I quite like, but there isn't one correct canonical reason. Hopefully you found this video about my process of making Harold's Gallery interesting. Typical YouTube things, like, subscribe, etc. And I'm currently trying to make one video every month for all of 2023, so that's probably completely failed, but hopefully it has succeeded. And any video suggestions would be very much appreciated. Anyway, I've been gaming Tardigrade, I am gaming Tardigrade, and I will be for at least a while longer. Take care. I'm like some big evil villain bad guy. Oh, how do I stop this? Oh, no, wrong button.